Let's talk about the development of the human external genitalia. Androgen governs the development of human external genitalia. Exposure to androgen begins around the 8th week of pregnancy, causing an undifferentiated tissue to develop into the male form. In the absence of androgen, development is of the female form. This effect is totally independent of the genetic sex of the fetus. So again, it doesn't matter if you're XX or XY. If by any case that Y chromosome, that SRY gene is faulty, now you have a male but who has identified as a female or may have well-developed genitals. The typical situation, as I said, the Y chromosome has the SRY gene attached to it, which creates an androgenic cascade that differentiates the genitals, the gonads, and the reproductive organs of the fetus. The combinations of pre-mutations are endless. The result depends on how far the fetus is from that typical development, just I showed you in the little continuum that didn't show. The hormonal mix will create a variety of the gender-sex complex. So, simple. No androgen, you'll have a glans clitoris, a labia majora and minora, and ovaries. Androgen comes in the picture. Your gland clitoris becomes your gland penis. Your labia majora and minora closes. Men, next time you go to the bathroom, check your scrotum and you're going to see a nice little line that goes from there to there. That's because it closed. And your ovaries descended down and became testes. So basically we all start off as female. If androgen kicks in, then we develop into boys. So testosterone, male, estrogen, female. Now the hormonal mix is like a cocktail. You know, it depends on, throw it up there, you could have your XXXY or XXY or XOX. I mean, it's like a whole mess of things. It all depends if the SR gene is working correctly or where was it attached. Was it attached to the X chromosome? Now you have a genetic female with androgenic effect. And stress could also cause that kind of changes and alteration in the system. Again, when a fetus is so vulnerable and the mother's exposed to all sorts of stress, she's unhappy, the job, this and that and the other, the first 8 to 12 weeks are very critical. Excess estrogen could also cause that. Women that are excess estrogenic can have difficulties with their babies. Another thing that I wanted to add, 1 out of 150 kids are born with autism. This whole development of the central nervous system, or the nervous system in general, has to do with autism and also with gender identity. It all interplays. I am slightly autistic. And most of the transsexual individuals do have a slight autism about them, and that's because of the way our central nervous system has been bombarded with hormones. Exposure to chemicals, you know, the whole thing to create and will determine your gender identity. There was a gentleman by the name of Harry Benjamin. Harry Benjamin was a psychologist. He worked with many transsexuals back in the 60s. He found out that he couldn't change the brain of transsexual individuals. There's no way, no shock therapy, no medication. He saw these individuals, healthy mental individuals, who truly believed they were in the wrong body. So what did Harry Benjamin do? He said, well, the only way we're going to make these individuals happy is if we make their bodies match their brain. So voila, Harry Benjamin created the Harry Benjamin criteria, and the criteria goes as follows. You must have a psychological evaluation by a therapist that deems that you have gender dysphoria, and not personality disorder or schizophrenia or anything else. You must live the true life test, which means you have to live in the gender you're transforming to. Then you start the hormonal treatments. And it could be testosterone if you're a female transitioning to a male, and it'll be estrogen if you're a male transitioning to a female. I want to point something out. Transsexuality is not about surgeries or hormones. It is a state of mind. It's hardwired in your brain. We've been around since ancient times. We were once known as the pride of the tribe, two-spirited, special individuals, actually in parts of the world, in India, and back in Greek times, we were like, you had a transsexual child, that was like a gift. Exactly, exactly. Nowadays, they want to kill us, you know. Gender and sex, it's a gender and sex misalignment. The surgeries and hormones are a recent addition to our generation, and we feel privileged to be able to finally align our bodies with our minds. Not all transsexuals choose surgeries or hormones. Some go halfway, others go all the way. Okay, let's talk about changes that take place with the use of testosterone and estrogen. Okay, for a female to male, deepening of the voice. This is how I got the deeper voice. If you're a male to female, It's a lot harder to make Steve back into Eve, because remember, we all started off as Eve. Androgen made Eve into Steve. And you can't really, like, as much as if I ever wanted to go back to being a girl, and if I ever wanted to talk like a girl, it wouldn't happen, because now the vocal cords have been lengthened. What a lot of the MTF sisters will do is they have to go through speech therapy and try to learn to really try to, it's very hard to do, I can't do it, but they manage. You get a lot of facial and body hair. I don't know if you, but I'm very hairy all over the place. And more than like, sometimes it's like, is it ever going to stop? You know, it's like a human shield. Wow. Male to female, unfortunately, have to have laser. Because again, even if you take all the estrogen in the world, it ain't going to make the hair fall off. Increased strength and musculature. You become very strong with the use of testosterone. Estrogen, unfortunately, makes you lose your strength. That is why typically, and I hate to be stereotypical, but typically male is stronger than female because of the testosterone versus the estrogen. Increased acne. Oh, did I go through a second puberty? Actually, I had worse acne the second time around than I did the first time around. With the male to female, they have skin changes. Their skin becomes softer, just like a female's. Improve spatial relation. This one I like. I'm Cuban, and I don't know if any of you actually know Cuban. We really don't know how to, it's like the next coconut tree. We're not good with directions. And when I was a female, it was even worse. Now that the proper hormones in my system, it's like, now I don't ask anybody where I'm going. I know where I'm going. And it's proven fact. I mean, I'm not trying to be, but it's proven, and they've studied the brain that testosterone does improve your spatial relationship. And estrogen, I mean, estrogen gives you other good things, other good traits, but spatial relationship is not one of them.